Christmas tree in the background. How pretty would that be?
Aw, look at that. Getting in the holiday spirit. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Hunter Tuned. Just wanted to give you guys a little bit of an intro to this video. It's just a lot of talking and blabbing, but it might be some good information on what I'm going to do from here or try to do. I feel like I make these videos all the time, just complaining and stuff, but I don't mean to be that way. And I just wanted to give you a disclaimer starting off here that I'm not trying to talk down on anybody. And I am just showing the stuff that comes into the shop, and my strategies going forward might be changing, and I wanted to just give some of my thoughts. And I just opened the camera up at the shop today and was just talking about stuff, about a couple cars there at the shop currently. And yeah, what else should I say?
That you're not judging anybody's builds, that you...
Yeah, and I'm not, I mean, I said a lot of that in the video.
Did you?
Yeah.
I was just saying that.
Yeah. I'm not judging people's builds.
You're not talking down about
I'm not talking down on anybody. I'm really not. We all start somewhere. And I've been there. I've used dishwasher hose for fuel or oil feed line and smoked out city blocks. But it's how I learned.
You're just showing the process.
I'm just showing the process of what I'm going through now, trying to help a lot of these guys. And where to go from here. Going forward, I want to try to keep growing and keep my foot on the pedal and expand my horizons a little bit. That's kind of the goal. But hopefully you guys watch the video and get some of the thoughts and random clips that I'm all going to throw together here now. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Hunter Tune. Today we are working on some cars out at the shop. I have not been out here in like a week. I hope everybody had a great weekend and a great Thanksgiving and everything like that over your holiday, your November holidays were good, and you got some shopping done for Christmas. Hopefully everybody had a good one. I know a lot of y'all did some shopping on huntertune.com, and I'm very thankful for it. Me and Christine are 95% of the way done with all the orders. So if you guys did order from the Black Friday sale, it should be on the way to your door. That's kind of what I've been doing over the last like week or so, is just knocking those orders out and getting them out to you guys. So like I said, I haven't been really out to the shop a whole lot. And I do have some customer cars out here, including this white Civic that we did a video on a few weeks back. It's the little EF. It's got a turbo GSR in it. And it's got a little bit of gremlins going on, some little issues and stuff that I'm trying to sort out. And I'm going to show you that stuff here in a minute. And also, I did have this Mustang dropped off as well not too long ago. Really nice looking car. Looked under the hood when he brought it. So I got this Mustang in the shop. My buddy Vince, he's a local guy. Tuned a couple of his cars back in the day, and I've always tried to help him out. And he told me that he picked up this car. He ended up trading his S2000 for it. And he sent me some pictures of it, and he told me a guy on YouTube built it by the name of... And I was like, heck yeah, man, let's check it out, bring it down here. I'll go through it and see what we can do. He just kind of wanted to get the tune cleaned up and just for me to check things out. So he brought it down, and I was like, wow, this thing looks pretty sweet and looks pretty well put together. So just addressed some things with him in the parking lot before he took off with leaving the car here. And I was just mentioning some small stuff to him for on the dyno. I said the catch can might be a little bit too small because this is like a cheaper can, and it just has this little outlet right here, which is actually smaller than one of the hoses going into it. So I said that's actually more of a restriction than it would be to just run the hoses open to not even in a can, because when you're taking two hoses and restricting it down to one hose outlet size, it's actually going to build up more crankcase pressure than it would if you just ran them like open to the ground or something like that. So the only reason I know this is because on my Fox body, when I built my budget Fox body, I did a catch can similar to that, and it actually started to smoke out of the exhaust when I did a pull. And with the can unhooked and put to a well-vented catch can, the smoking went away. So it actually created an issue that wasn't there before by running something like that. And that's just saying, like, stuff comes from experience, you know, learning that kind of stuff. Kind of told him about that, and it wasn't really too big of a deal. And like I said, just kind of first glance under the hood, he fired it up, drove it off the trailer, and I was like, oh, easy tune. Let's, you know, I'm not really too worried about taking this one in. So I put it up on the lift just to kind of get a glance at stuff, because he said there was a few small other things that he wanted to address with it. The main reason I put the car on the lift is because when he dropped it off, he did say that there was a lot of wiring that was like hanging underneath the car, and it was, you know, maybe a potential hazard to drag on the ground. So I don't know if maybe some of the clips broke. That's kind of why I put it up on the hoist in the first place. And I just noticed some other stuff, like under the hood, we have the regulators really close to the exhaust here. This is the fuel pressure regulator. We don't really want to run our fuel system stuff this close to the exhaust and the turbo kit and stuff like that, just because, you know, there is issues with, you know, stuff getting hot, hoses expand, and, you know, everything like that. We want to keep the flammable stuff as far away from the fire as possible, so it doesn't spread anywhere in the car. I mean, he did say when he dropped it off that there's a little kill switch, so I had to flip the kill switch off when he left, because he said the battery died, or the battery drained slowly. So, and he said the battery was draining, so the kill switch was, you know, turning off to conserve the battery or whatever. So I flipped the kill switch off, and then I put it on the hoist, and then when I went back into the car, it still had power, so that's why I kind of just completely unhooked the battery. It's kind of a good practice that I do on any car that comes in here, is I actually just took all the battery connections right off, because if I'm gonna leave the shop for like a week or whatever unattended, I'm gonna try to keep the shop as safe as possible. And when there's cars in the shop that I didn't do or I didn't build, I want to, you know, make sure, you know, something isn't gonna happen. I kind of have a little bit of worries about that stuff sometimes, especially when it's not my stuff, you know. So the Civic, I did the same thing. I just unhooked the battery here, and I do that stuff just because, well, when I put this Mustang on the lift, for example, I found out some issues that's kind of keeping me from tuning it, and the car's just kind of been sitting here because I don't know really what to do or where to go from here with the car, because it needs like a lot of little stuff, and I don't know if I want to tackle it right now with the, you know, website being so busy and stuff like that. I don't know if I really have time to take on a project of this caliber, so I might have him just come pick this car up and bring it back to me when it's ready, you know. But at least now I gave him a list of all the stuff that needs to be done on the car, so it's kind of like I don't know, a diagnostic service, you could say, that I did for this guy. It just kind of sucks, because if I were to perform the work on this car, I mean, he'd have almost another S2000 worth of labor, you know, into fixing some of the stuff. I think I actually sent him a list, and I might insert a couple pictures of just some of the stuff underneath that kind of scared me away from continuing to tune it. I just said I wasn't really talking down on his car, because, you know, if I just like talk about this stuff, some people take offense to it, and they you know, bash me on the internet for years to come, because what they brought me and I just talked about it on video. So I have been trying to get the okay from everybody that I film their cars and stuff like that nowadays, because of you know, people that may not like what I have to say. Even though I try to help everybody out as much as I can, but sometimes even helping everybody the most I can, it you know, it doesn't pay off every time in the end for me. So just, you know, told him I wasn't talking down on it. Everything looked great from under the hood, and I put the car on the hoist after he left just to kind of check it out. And I took pictures of some of the stuff that needed to be fixed on the car, and I could not tune it in its current state because it needs wastegates. He was driving the car, and I guess it bottomed out on some stuff, and it actually smashed the wastegates, because the wastegates are like pointing straight at the ground. So I might throw a picture up of that. So it needs wastegates, and there was some welding around where the wastegates were on the car that have to get fixed. So that, you know, the whole turbo kit needs to come apart to get it re-welded, put the new wastegates on. And in the process of finding the wastegates being bottomed out like that, I actually found that this car has manifold leaks as well, because the initial person putting this thing together used paper exhaust manifold gaskets, which I don't know if you guys have watched some of my videos, but I try to talk about a lot of this stuff so people understand, and stuff like this doesn't take up a lot of my time. The gaskets that are in here, pretty much any time you put a gasket on a turbo car, unless it's an oil pan gasket, it needs to be metal lined. Like even oil pan gaskets, if they have a metal liner, you gotta run that. So MLS exhaust manifold gaskets are the only way to go. You just have to. You can't run those paper gaskets. Turbo kits and stuff like that build a lot of back pressure, and it ends up finding the weak point, which is the gasket. Those paper gaskets that come with you know, cheap exhaust kits and stuff like that, they just blow out, and they just, you know, they're cardboard. So once they get hot, they just like break. You know, they'll melt away and they'll give away with the pressure. So can't really tune it with exhaust leaks, and we can't tune it with the broken wastegates. Besides that, I did find other stuff on the car that that I was concerned with, like wiring that was like running through the wheel well, and wiring that's like, you know, zip tied to like the suspension and stuff like that. I just really don't want any of that stuff to come up as an issue while I'm tuning, because there's a reason I can only count on less than one hand how many cars I've blown up on my dyno, and it's because I take the time to check this stuff out beforehand. And I try to keep my reputation high because of that. I have the smarts, I should say, and the ear for stuff to know, like, this isn't the best, or we got to fix this, or this has to get addressed before we have a good outcome on the dyno. And a lot of times, like a lot of the cars that come here, you know, we do with what we can with what they have. But at the end of the day, you know, nobody's gonna remember me. They're not gonna remember my name if you know, if I'm just tuning stuff that's not 100%. You know, some really big people in the industry, Kenny from Humble, you know, people like that, you know, they just keep telling me that you know, nobody's gonna remember me if I'm not out breaking records, and there's a reason I'm not going anywhere, as they might say. But I try to stay humble and you know, do the best I can and try to help all these guys out, because I was here at one point myself. I used to put cars together with PVC pipe as intercooler piping, and I'd use Menards like dishwasher hose for oil feed lines and shit like that. I've been there, and I'm not down on anybody's builds, but at the end of the day, when I'm trying to grow and I'm trying to do more advanced kind of stuff, if I'm working on all that stuff all the time, I don't have time to do the other, you know, more advanced stuff. And I want to excel, and I want to, you know, keep making horsepower with my business and my brain. I want to keep learning and developing new skills. But if I'm constantly doing, you know, all the stuff that is just rework and, you know, patches, you know, patch here, patch there on the build, you know, patch this up, patch that up, you know, something like this, I would just want to completely redesign. I would want to redo this entire setup, along with put subframe connectors in it, because it doesn't even have subframe connectors, which on a Mustang, subframe connectors are definitely needed, or the car's just gonna bow in half in the center. Like, so if you put some real power to it, and this car has a trans brake, it has a whole ton of stuff, so like, it kind of concerns me that it doesn't have subframe connectors. So, like I said, just gave him a list of all the stuff to, you know, maybe check out on it. And I recently did the consultation stuff on my site, and this guy reached out, did the consult, and he said he got everything as best as he could. And I talked to him over the phone, and same thing with Vince before he dropped that off. He sent me a ton of pictures and everything like that, but at the end of the day, the car still needed a lot more than just tuning or just, you know, little stuff that can be fixed on the dyno. Both of these cars ended up on the lift to get some stuff addressed on. So this thing we were talking about in a previous video. And another thing too I wanted to mention, like I feel bad and I want to help all these guys out as much as possible, but like I said, I can't do both. It's really hard for me to be able to do my own stuff and show cool new things and build new cool stuff if I'm constantly doing this. So I'm trying to pick my poisons and see what my best avenue is. It's been tough, especially by myself. You know, Christine's been killing it and helping me with the website and stuff like that, and we can maintain that, but I don't think I could do both. I've been saying this for years, and I just feel like a lot of people come on here and they just bitch like, oh, you're complaining and you're you know, thanks for not complaining in a video for once. Like, I'm not complaining, I'm just like showing you the real struggles and stuff like that with doing this as a job and trying to make a living doing it. This is the stuff that's been, you know, coming up, and I've been trying to talk to people and get insight on what the best plan of attack for a lot of the upcoming projects, and you know, just getting business advice from other people. And yeah, I can't thank a lot of them enough. Jason Waters, one of them, my buddy Kurt Miller down in Madison, Wisconsin at Dyno Tune Performance. I talked to a lot of these guys just to you know, get insight and see what the scoop is on, you know, doing this. And we all kind of bounce ideas off each other and try to, you know, not try to compete against each other. I think we should all, you know, just do business together. There's no sense in trying to one up somebody else or, you know, whatever. We all got to stay humble. So it's a good thing I unhooked the battery on the Mustang, and it's probably a good thing I unhooked it on this EF. We've been tinkering on it, but I got discouraged. I took, like I said, I took a lot of this on because I was told by the owners of the cars, you know, a lot of details and, you know, conversation with them, and I figured the consultation would alleviate some of these issues that are coming about. So this car needed an oil feed line because the feed line and stuff that was on it was pretty sketchy, you know, some copper tubing and stuff like that, which, hey, it didn't leak, it worked, but I didn't want it breaking off on the dyno, and I didn't want it to cause issues down the road later for him, because at the end of the day, the last place a car is, if something goes wrong after it leaves said place, whether it's a transmission shop, an alignment shop, a tire shop, whatever, if something goes wrong with the car after it leaves, the person and the business that gets blamed is the last guy that touched it. So that's why I try to just like show a lot of this stuff, and if people are not okay with me showing their build and the issues with their vehicle, I'm sorry, don't bring it to me, because this is kind of like a second insurance policy to me, showing this stuff, and it's not to talk down on anybody, and I just want to clarify that with everybody. So I fixed the oil feed line. I got a new line. This is a -3 feed line. I got that installed with the proper fittings and everything. I got some rubber cushion clamps holding it on the inside of the timing belt, and I got it hooked into the sandwich plate down there. And this is the wiring for the boost controller. I think I was talking about that we needed to get a new solenoid and stuff like that. So I got a new solenoid here now, and this wiring just needs to get addressed, because this looks like it's the ground signal going to the ECU down there somewhere, I think. And this is the power for the solenoid, and I think they're pulling power from the injector for the boost controller, which I don't think is the right way to do things. You want to isolate the boost controller power away from, you know, a kind of a critical engine component here, such as an injector. It would probably be better just to run it like off the alternator stud or something like that if you're going to run like a you know, a short power wire, which I think they were trying to go for here. But yeah, so, and the thing is too, is a lot of the guys that bring me this stuff, they don't understand and they don't know, because they just bought it from somebody, or they, you know, They just picked the car up from somebody else that put it together. And then these cars, especially these EF Civics, they've been passed around so much. You know, everything is aged. It's worn down. It's old. You know, it's a lot of the wiring and stuff is barely hanging on, like such as this injector wiring here, because I was going to throw injectors in this car and I found a lot of bare wires and stuff like that. So a lot of taped up connectors and, you know, stuff like that. So I got to address a lot of the injector wiring and try to figure out this boost control wire here that's tapped into the injector. Distributor stuff looks fine for wiring, but like there's the coolant sensor and stuff like that down here is a little bit needing addressing. At least get some tape on it or some heat shrink or something on that sensor wire there. It's missing a bolt here on the trans mount and on the bell housing, at least one of them. I don't know how many are missing, but there is one there missing, which you can run without all the bolts. I'm not saying you can't, but yeah. So, and then other little stuff, like it's got a bunch of coolant leaks under the motor, and these clamps aren't like pushed all the way to the end of the hose. So like these, hang on, let me shut the heater up. So you might be able to see it a little better from this angle. This clamp right here, you want to try to get these clamps, whether it's a worm gear clamp or one of these spring style clamps, you want to try to get them to the end of the hose as far as possible, so it doesn't have a chance. It seals better when you put the clamp way at the end of the hose instead of like, you know, down there. Like this too, this doesn't need to be on here anymore if you're running this clamp. So and then the catch can, I was telling this guy too that the catch can probably needs to get addressed, because this isn't a vented can. This is more of I think they call them like air oil separator instead of like an oil catch can vent. We want to have a vented can on a Honda for the most part. I think they tried to do that. They ran this clear hose up to the can, and then they run this one just out to the atmosphere here, and I think this might have been why I was smelling oil in the car, because it might be just like shooting right through the firewall. So I'd like to get that addressed, but like just stuff like that, I you know, maybe a lot of these guys are right. You know, not a lot of people have heard of me and stuff like that, because all I'm trying to do is help all these guys out, and I want to continue doing it, but at the end of the day I also want to grow. And I hope me talking about some of this stuff and over the 750 videos I've made has given people information. I know a lot of guys have told me they've built and tuned their entire car because of my videos. So I want to grow. I want to keep going and keep building stuff, and I haven't built a lot of my own stuff because of, you know, stuff like this. I'm always working on instead, which I'm not complaining. It's been paying the bills, but at the end of the day, I don't know what to where to point my attention towards, what's more beneficial, you know. And I feel like I'm slowly starting to find it, and I think it's going to be building my own cars and doing dyno tuning solely. If the car needs any sort of work, I'm not doing it at all. So unless it's just some small stuff on the dyno, but I don't have time to take on big projects for guys anymore like I once did, and I apologize about that. So a lot of the stuff that comes in nowadays for work and everything like that, I've been sending over to Team Defiant Automotive. Go check him out on YouTube. He actually just started a pretty awesome YouTube channel, my buddy Guile Clark. Definitely go check out his channel, Team Defiant Automotive. Tell him Hunter Toon sent you. He's definitely going places with that.
I'll post the link in the description below.
Yeah, there's just so much stuff with cars, guys. There's all sorts of stuff, and I feel like I kind of take my knowledge for granted some days, and I expect a lot of people to be on the same level, and it's just not the case. There's a lot of guys that are just getting into cars, and shit, when I first started, I didn't know the simplest stuff. Like, I really didn't. And just over the years of learning the hard way on my own was the best way for me to become more knowledgeable in what I do today. I didn't go to school for none of this. I didn't, you know, I got some help from a couple friends, but that was about it. Like I didn't, my first dyno appointment that I ever had in my life was with Kurt Miller down in Madison, and to this day, I respect him, and I still bounce ideas off of him and get insight and stuff, because I think we spent 8 hours on the dyno the one day that I brought my car to him. And I didn't have like the spring and the distributor cap that goes to the coil. I didn't have that in there, so it kept breaking up ignition wise. My boost controller wasn't right. I had some other stuff that was wrong, and he went above and beyond for me, and that's what kept me into cars at the end of the day. So that's why I think what I am doing is really helpful, and it's what keeps me doing it. But at the end of the day, I kind of want to just move on a little bit. And yeah, if there wasn't guys like Kurt Miller out there, and you know, me helping a lot of these guys getting into cars and picking this kind of stuff up, a lot of them would just give up, and there'd be less guys doing it. You know, you guys tell me if that's a good or a bad thing. I don't know. And a lot of people message and comment and say, man, I wish I had that job, and you know, it'd be a dream to do what you do every day. But when you do it every day for a long enough time, it still gets old. Any work eventually gets old. Especially like, you know, same stuff, breaking or whatever. And I thought it'd be cool to dyno tune cars because, you know, being on the dyno is a ton of fun, but it's not that, it doesn't take that long. A lot of times when cars are set up right and stuff, you know, do dyno tuning and stuff doesn't take more than like an hour or two for the most part. It's all the setup and preparation leading up to it. Same with like painting a car. When you paint the car, painting the car doesn't take that long, but all the prep work and body work and stuff that leads up to it, like my Integra, we took like 2 weeks doing all the body work before we even put it in the booth, and you get a better result at the end of the day. You know, doing the prep work beforehand. And I can make a checklist and do all this stuff, but at the end of the day, people still don't seem to understand fully what a lot of it takes, and it just comes from experience. I think that's what it comes down to. But you can't eat the same chocolate bar every single day. You know, you might like that chocolate bar once a week, but if you ate that chocolate bar every day, you'd get sick. You'd get sick of it, you know? It's kind of a saying that I try to go along with, and that's part of the reason why, like over the summer, last year and stuff like that, where I didn't do a whole lot of car stuff because I was just burnt out on it. Like, I'm just sick of it. Sick of doing it. So I got into other stuff like the Groms and you know, electric scooters, stuff like that. It's hard to stay motivated some days. And yes, I know I'm a fucking soapbox. All I do is bitch and complain, but I feel like bitching and complaining and talking about it helps find a resolution instead of just being miserable. You see a lot of mechanics, they're just fucking miserable all the time. You know, or they just, they're always bitching and complaining. At least up here in the Northwoods, you know, up north, it's very common. Grumpy mechanics is a thing. And I don't want to be that. I don't want to be a negative Nancy, but, you know, over the years, I'm hoping to figure out a solution to truly enjoy what I do every single day. It's just gonna take a little bit of time and work to figure it out. And it's been a journey. I think I make one of these bitchin' videos at least once a year. At least once a year, if not 100 times a year. But eventually, hopefully, we'll figure it out together. Just driving home right now, still just pondering my thoughts. And a lot of people are, you know, a lot of people can say like, just quit bitching and just do the work and get it done. And that's, you know, very easy to do, I guess. Could just go get the work done and quit bitching. But like I said, I want to have the same motivation and the same drive and the same passion to continue doing this. And when you're doing it every day like that, it's just, you get burnt out, like I was saying. Or I could grow, bigger shop, you know, 3 times as much rent that I'm paying now, hire 2 or 3 guys to help knock all these cars out. But at the end of the day, that's just as much stress, if not gonna, you know, have higher risk of ruining my brand, because then I'm putting my business on the line, hoping somebody else is going to make it okay. And my business and my brand is me. It's me. It's not, you know, other people. It's just me. That's why it's called Hunter Tuned. And that's what people want. My last business kind of failed. I had a vape business, and my sales were doing really good. I was, you know, quote unquote being successful business owner. And then I hired somebody, and as soon as I hired somebody, my sales just declined over the next 2 years, and eventually I couldn't bring it back. I was done. I was out for the count. So I kind of have a sour taste in my mouth because of that, because, you know, when people do business with me or whatever, they want to buy from me. That's why me and Christine fill every order. Yeah, so I don't know if, you know, maybe I'd make more money. I don't think I would, though, because I'd have to pay employees and stuff like that, and at the end of the day, I'd have to take in a lot more business, and business would have to make a lot more money to make up for the added shop cost, the added employee cost, everything like that. It would equal out to what I do now, which is way less stressful. I take on what I can and do what I can. I think it'd be the same. It's the same way. So yeah, maybe I'm not going to be like some, you know, huge frickin' multi-jillion-dollar company with only the same amount to my name, kind of thing, if that makes any sense. But then, you know, maybe more people will know my name. Yeah, I'm trying to get my name out there a little bit, guys. I am, and I don't know what's the best way to do it. I think what's always done a little bit better on my channel is my own personal cars that I build. That kind of shows my true potential, I think. You know, starting from whatever and making it my own. That's what I enjoy doing. That's what my passion's always been, in cars. And then as soon as other people's cars got involved with it, less of my own stuff got built, and I had less fun with cars at the end of the day. And I want to not say this, but it's just the truth. It's the cold hard frickin' truth. You know, I could lie and say I'm passionate about the shit every single day and try to be positive for all you guys, but at the end of the day, it's just simply not the case. It is not the case. I am not into cars like I once was, because of me trying to make $1 doing it, which, you know, made some money, but I haven't made enjoyment, I guess. Money doesn't buy happiness. You guys gotta remember that. Money can build a car, though, that's for fucking sure, because cars ain't cheap, and I try to do everything on a budget, but you know, there's limits to that stuff, and growing costs more money to grow, you know, to make more power, do different things, put a cleaner build together, all that kind of stuff. It all adds up. The cleaner you want to make it, and whatever, it's just, you know, more money or more experience, which I got to get both of. Another thing I wanted to mention was I'm willing to do the PVC pipe and the sketchy you know, dishwasher line for fucking oil feed and shit like that on my own stuff, and I enjoy doing it. I enjoy the sketchy shit on my own cars and showing you guys sketchy shit and making videos of funny stuff like that, but it's on my own stuff. It's not on somebody else's. So just food for thought, you know. I've been there. I still am a little bit ghetto fabulous on a lot of the stuff that I put together, but it's my own stuff at the end of the day, and I know more proper ways to do things, and that's how I prefer to do customer cars. Yeah, and sometimes it's just you know, not enough. And another thing too, like, I don't need to work on people's cars to support myself anymore, and I'm very thankful for that. I'm extremely thankful for that. Words can't even describe how thankful I am to be able to make money in other ways other than working on people's cars. But I still love tuning, and that's what I want this channel to be about. But, you know, tuning involves fixing shit a lot of the times, so. I used to pretty much solely work on people's stuff to like pay the shop rent and everything like that. But, you know, I want to focus more on the website because it pays me better for the time I put in, and I think it's way more fun for me. It's cool to like see a lot of these projects, or you know, all of my parts and stuff getting sent all over the world. You know, all over the country. I just sent 2 to New Zealand, a couple to the UK, Australia, Canada, Mexico, the Philippines, you name it, guys. Like, I've been sending stuff the last couple days to all those places, and all over the country too, all over the US. I think that's awesome, and I think that's another way that I can kind of help grow my brand, is just continuing to do that too. I hate getting rid of one thing, because I want to have numerous outlets of revenue in case one dies off. I can try to rely on the other to keep up. And I don't know if tuning is like a dying thing nowadays, because like, honestly guys, if you're trying to build a car, like, all the information is out there. And tuning something like on a Holly, even a Fuel Tech, like even Brent from PFI is now offering like pretty good startup files for a lot of these guys. And you guys can tune on your own. You have all these capable computers nowadays with correction and everything. I don't know if dyno tuning is a dying thing. I sure hope not. I don't think it is, because you still kind of want to see what kind of power stuff makes, what it's putting down, and you still want to optimize stuff to see where it's all going. But a lot of guys that bring me stuff, you know, they just don't want to learn, or don't want to do it themselves. Or some of them do, but they, you know, are willing to also pay somebody to do it. So I guess you got to figure out if you have the drive to build it yourself, and if you don't, maybe it's not the best idea to buy a 30-year-old Honda Civic if you're not willing to tinker on it and fix little stuff. You know what I'm saying? I hope that makes sense. Maybe it'd be better off if you just want to pay for a fast car, just to buy like a Hellcat or a Corvette, or, you know, something like that. I don't know. I'm just kind of spitballing here, blabbing away. Yeah. But anyways, I'm gonna keep working on this car and tidying up some stuff, rewiring some things, and you know, I'll pick up with you guys in an upcoming video whenever we get it done and on the dyno. So yeah, I don't know. It's tough. At the end of the day, like, where do you draw the line, and what's more beneficial at the end of the day for me? I don't know. I really don't. It's tough. You get to a certain point, and you gotta pick and choose your battles of what you're working on. And I think it'd be awesome just to do my website and build my own stuff, but I don't know. Have a great night and a better tomorrow, guys. I don't know if this video helped anybody. If it did, then leave a like, I suppose. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.